Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 614. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games. Brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, it's Switch 2 time, but also Switch 1 time, I think. Because we gotta go backwards to go forwards a little bit. You should look back, appreciate, and then carry it forward. Right, Matt?
Yeah, that's what Nintendo did,
I think so.
essentially.
Yeah. They really did. We'll dive more into that. So this episode, we're going to do a whole Switch 1 recap. We're going to talk about the launch. We're going to talk about the good of the system, the bad of the system, what's left of the system now that Switch 2 has arrived. And then we'll dive into our top 8 Switch games as decided by thefreecheese.com. We'll transition over to discuss the Switch 2, our pre-order and buying experience and all that fun stuff, and what we look forward to in the first year of the Switch 2's life cycle. I guess let's start with this question, Matt, to kick things off. When was the first time you remember hearing about Switch?
I mean,
As a proud Wii U owner, that is, I should
yeah,
point out.
yeah. I feel like I kept all the NX stuff. Just, I'm assuming then it had to be over the summer. Because I feel like, I mean,
So,
I know, like
yeah.
going into that fall when the first trailer started with the fucking tweet of Mario peeking out behind the curtain or whatever.
Classic. Yep.
Like that happened 2 weeks after I think it was like on air with you all for the first time.
Yeah,
So
it was
there's,
right. Yeah, because it's fall
I just
2016.
I can't imagine I didn't hear about it before then. So it had to have been like somewhere around the ramp up of summer, maybe probably around E3 because it probably had to come out and say there's no news about the NX or some shit.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because it was like an investors meeting in the spring of 15 where codename NX was first discussed. Iwata said it at a thing, and we knew that NX was coming. But at that point, everybody was like, they should do a hybrid. And I remember writing like, they're not gonna do a hybrid. There's no way to do a hybrid. It just doesn't make sense. Um, and then yeah, it was like July or something of that year, maybe August, where Eurogamer had that full like, hey,
Mm.
it is a hybrid. Here's exactly what it does. They didn't know it was called the Switch. It was whatever, and then yeah, it was like mid-October when we got that, and the kickoff. I don't know if the mic picked up the snap, but
It didn't, but it
the
was not that I heard.
um, but we had that. We had, of course,
Karen on a rooftop.
Karen on the rooftop. All those fun things. Have you gone back and watched that trailer since?
N- Probably not. No.
You
That
should revisit it. It's bizarre. Like,
I remember
it's
some of it
bizarre.
because they're on the basketball court, fucking
Yeah,
tabletop
yeah.
playing. You got rooftop
And there's a
Karen.
lot of stuff. Like, there's that little like accessory in the back of the headrest in the car where they're sliding it in to play Mario Kart in the
Right.
back seat, and it's like there's all these little things of really just showing how the Switch was going to be part of your lifestyle. And it was more of that than it was even like obviously we were looking at it like, what is that Mario? What is that Mario Kart 8? Is it a new Mario Kart? Oh my gosh, they have a 2K game on a Nintendo console. It was just like these little things that were standing out to us. But so I guess leading into Switch launch, were you excited for it?
Yes. Yeah. I remember being excited for the console. My original thing up until literally minutes before midnight.
Minutes.
Um, my original thing was I'm gonna hold off because there's just the software is not there. But August was Splatoon already was announced,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Yeah,
it
we knew
maybe
that was coming.
just summer. Maybe we didn't have a date until like the next direct. Anyway, I
Yeah.
knew Splatoon was like the game. I was that was it was at that time I was planning to pick up a Switch because I did have a Wii U and I figured I'd just play Zelda there and get the experience I'm looking for.
That's true. I still am curious what that Wii U experience would have been like because I never did go back to it. Mostly just for the like dual tablet part of it. Yeah. I was very thrilled for the Switch One launch. Like following, I had a Wii U. I didn't buy a Wii U at launch, but I bought a Wii U at some point, and I really liked it. And I still love the Wii U. It's definitely not going to show on camera, but back behind me, I can the tablet's still there. It's still plugged in. I still use the Wii U regularly. But the first time I'm gonna here's our first visual aid for the video viewers. But the first time you like got to hold this or like really see this thing and see like how thin it was going to be compared to the Wii U, and then like also that this was going to kind of take the Wii U and the 3DS to its next phase, right? Like this was the thing, man. This feels so weird to hold now that I've been
I'm sure
holding
it
the
does.
Switch 2 for a week. Um, it was really, really exciting. And then with it just came so many different like factors. Like, I, look, I mean, I'm not going to go full visual this whole time, but like the fact that like the controllers are built right into the side of it, they sit there. Like, I know this launch model kickstand isn't the best, but like the idea that you could do that, like that image they showed in that first trailer of the dude on the plane playing Skyrim. I remember the first flight I took with the Switch. I was like, I didn't have Skyrim because I don't think Skyrim had launched at that point on the Switch, but I was playing Breath of the Wild, like on a plane, Joy-Con spread eagle style. It was, exactly what they'd expected it to be and what I had expected it to be. Um, what what do you recall lead up to launch looking like?
I think it's like it in terms of my feelings or Nintendo or
Hype, the general buzz. Like, do you remember? Because obviously now with Switch 2, I also feel like gaming is so much louder now. Do you feel that way? Like, I feel like so many more spaces are talking about video games in a bigger way. I feel like
that's
so many more
probably true.
people are like hungry for consoles. Like the conversation around like having a PS5 versus having a PS4 back in that era is so much louder, I feel. And everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got a thing, everyone's like it's just weird. Like people that you'd never expect to talk about certain things or whatever. Like I think I mentioned on the podcast, but like my chiropractor hasn't touched a video game in forever and told me about his like little retro handheld device that he got. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I think more people are engaging with the hobby than ever. So I think Switch 2 is a little bit feverish. Granted, like we've been around for a lot of them. So, we remember the Wii and the hype around that stuff. It feels loud. Where Switch 1, I think people were intrigued by Switch 1, but I don't think Switch 1 it was definitely hard to get one. Like I'm glad that we both got it at launch because it was sold out. It was not an easy thing to wander into a store and just pick up
No.
at some point. Um the way that some other consoles were. I think it became pretty regularly available by later in the launch year, but then it was after like Animal Crossing in 2020, it was then again difficult to find any model of the Switch. But
No. Um
um,
no, I don't know why I just thought to bring this up now, but I'm revisiting the article I wrote October 20th of 2016
oh yeah,
with those questions. I guess this probably is my feelings in a nutshell up until I guess the conference in January, right? So
yes,
like
because we had that kickoff in 2017.
which started great, where that man of business came. I forgot who the president of Nintendo is at this point. He just comes out like, "This is the price. This is the date. This is
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
here are some of my friends who are developers."
What was the name of your article? I just want to make sure.
Questions about the Nintendo Switch worth pausing for.
Nice, that's good.
Um, yeah. So price was the obvious one, right? Um, but then yeah, remember the sampling Nintendo Switch partners graphic
Yeah,
where you started to look
yes,
at that and you're like, oh my god, Konami's making games again. Is that from software? You're like, oh my god.
right.
Uh,
This might be a platform.
yeah.
Because the Wii U, not like I know I defend the Wii U, but the Wii U, where it came out of the gate with this big promise of, hey, we got it this time, man. Third parties are going to be here. They were there at launch, right? Like Arkham City Armored Edition and Mass Effect 3.
It was like, but even some of that stuff, it was rehash. It's not like new stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think the new stuff you got was like Zombie U, which was awesome, but there was like some other things that just like never really came to fruition. Um,
What the fuck is
and
Autodesk
yeah,
doing on there? Oh, you're all right.
you know,
Anyway, uh,
yeah, I mean, a couple of those things are more like audio platforms and things.
um, no, but then I think I question what our games gonna look like, and I think I said like it's cool that Skyrim is here, and it's surreal that Bethesda's finally on a Switch, but like, what if it looks like shit? What if it runs
Yeah,
like shit? Um, I think I made a joke about performance in a Bethesda game, but what does that look like? Handheld versus dock. And then yeah, I question new IPs on the Switch itself, just like from Nintendo. Um and then last question, online experience. Cause they were dipping their toe in. I guess we don't know the
they wanted
full
it.
I guess we didn't know the full extent of the dipping of the toe until more so January. But yeah.
What did you expect out of um out of that?
Online,
Yeah,
something as feature heavy and that runs like PSN or Xbox. I mean, I know both of those have their issues, but for the most part, when I need them to work, they work.
yeah,
Or like if I'm like when I think to do something, I can that makes sense, I can do it.
yes. Still not all the way there, but
Oh, buddy. We got the
I
Switch
know,
2 part.
I know. Um, well, January brought us something very special. I don't know if you recall a very key announcement in January. Besides price, besides date, besides Suda 51 coming out and having a fantastic time on stage.
I don't remember.
No?
Oh, it was region free. I forgot about that.
Region free, baby.
You're gonna have
The
to
birth
stand
of
up.
a
You're gonna have to stand
meme.
up just a touch because your mother three's cut
Oh
off.
yeah,
Yeah, there it is.
we'll get it. We'll get it. There you go.
There you
Region
go.
free means Mother 3. And we got it, technically, in a way. I have Mother 3 on this console via the
I was gonna
Japanese Game Boy
say.
Advance. Yeah. But it's there. Promise of a lifetime. Um yeah, I mean that happened. That whole presentation was a wild experience. They got all those press people to come out and watch the thing live. We stayed up until like 2 in the morning watching that thing.
Yeah, because it was late. It was like 10.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Um it started really late, really late. Um so launch wise, I I don't remember what the pre-order situation was. I think you could order online from certain retailers or
I think they
something, but
went live that night.
is that what it was?
I
Okay.
remember
And I
us staying up, like refreshing Amazon a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I don't know when, but I remember opting for I want the Wii experience again. I'm gonna go to a Best Buy, stand in line, and get it. And you came with me, and we were like what, 15th in line maybe?
Yeah,
Like
so
we
it
weren't
wasn't.
too far
Yeah,
back.
no.
Um, we made some great friends. We swapped friend codes in Miitomo, played some games in line. Um, and yeah, what made you, well, I guess you said at the top, what made you change your mind at last minute, but do you feel like the hype of the line also kind of pushed you along or
Yeah. It was just a good energy, and then I was like, I'm here. Why not? Kind of thing. Then
yeah,
the tricky part was I actually acted as because I was just gonna hang out anyway, but I then
yeah.
acted as a coworker's place in line.
Right.
So
And then
he showed
that was
up
the
right as like the line started moving. I was like, "I'll hold your spot, but why don't you go to the back of the line, and if you can get
yeah,
one, let's do it."
yeah,
Because the other nice thing, yes, like the line was wrapping around our local Best Buy. But that dude, that Best Buy worker, got off work, walked, strutted confidently like 10 behind
Yes.
us, and
Yes.
hopped down in
So
line. I was like, they got inventory.
yeah, we're gonna be okay. Knowing that he's there, we're fine. And it ended up being fine. Like they did really, really well at that one too. Like they came out, they like went one by one, like, what do you want? Do
Color,
you want
yeah. They gave you like the
which
yellow
color bundle?
paper or like a blue paper or something like that
Yeah.
for.
Very clean, very straightforward. We got the thing, we came back here, we got him set up, got games downloaded. Um, and I mean, kind of like right after that, went to bed.
Yeah, no, I was tired.
Uh, so we've spent 8 years with the Switch. There's been a lot of highs of the Switch, but let's start with the bad and get it out of the way. What are the bad things about the Nintendo Switch in your opinion? Like what's
Um,
most disappointing?
it's the online stuff, but it's just it's a per game basis. I think it's just Nintendo poorly executing on the online stuff. Like it baffles me,
Mm,
and this bleeds into now. Like most of their multiplayer games, there's like no party system.
sure.
There's other games on the console that allow it, but then for some reason, like their own stuff that makes sense to do it in, you just can't. Um,
Yep.
and then the other thing is, we went 8 years of fucking the same two themes. That one really bothers
Dude,
me, and it
I
still
don't
bothers
understand it.
me.
Like I, at first I kind of like liked and this I think is kind of all in one, right? So like my one of my big disappointments is what the eShop became in the end. And I
Mm,
feel like the Switch 2 has signs of life and potential. But I also remember the Switch 1 being a great eShop out of the gate for about the first 12 months until it suddenly wasn't. And I think in the beginning, the like minimalism of the console was in its favor. It like everything was snappy, it moved quickly. There was not a lot of stuff bogged down. So the fact that we didn't have themes right away was like, okay, they want like
they'll
bare
get there.
bones. Let's get this thing out the door. Yeah. And you're right. Like they never got there. The eShop got worse. It just like never.
I mean, my whole thing was like, give them a year, because the whole thing
Sure.
was you got Switch Online free for a year because it wasn't quite ready out of the gate. And I was like, all right, there's a lot of probably things with the software side of this console that isn't
Sure.
quite ready. So let's give them the year, maybe year and a half to see what happens. And then it just never happened. There's some cool stuff that he did with the online subscription that I think when that thing goes live day one, I don't know if the worth is there. But by the end of this console cycle, I think it's well worth it, even just for uh, the regular subscription, which is what I still technically have for now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, I think the online stuff they have done is like a really great value. Like I never feel bad about paying for the Nintendo subscription online. Like the other ones, I'm always just like, ugh, renewals coming out. You know what I mean? Like I'm agitated. I don't like the price. I don't like what I get out of it. But everything I get on the Nintendo one, I'm super happy with. I'm happy to pay it. Um, the other thing that I feel were sort of disappointing to me, not all of them, but I feel like some of Nintendo's first party games felt safer than they used to. There's just like something about a Switch game that feels like a Switch game. And it to me, I know the Switch was a huge transition in terms of who's leading the teams and the talent within Nintendo making software for it. So I feel like this was almost like, hey, we want to get weird, but we still have to be a little, we can't be too weird yet. You know what I mean? I'm hopeful that Switch 2 brings more of that weird. And maybe Donkey Kong is that answer. Maybe Donkey Kong's weird. I don't know what weird ends up being, but I want a little bit of weird in my Nintendo. And the final thing that disappoints me is the death of handheld video games because it's not just like it was so exciting that the Switch was a hybrid because that the simplicity of just being able to pick up and is so good. That is so good. But it's in its wake made so many imitators just as recently as last week with Xbox partnering with ROG to make one, but the Steam Deck came along. Like the landscape has shifted. Sony's rumored to bring back another portable at some point at the launch of the next console, seeming like the timeline for that, where they'll have a handheld SKU, which is crazy. Um, and in turn, it means that we just don't get these games that are like smaller experiences anymore. You just get
Mm-hmm.
experiences. You have to look to the indies for the small experiences, but then and in turn, like the Switch One became such an indie like landing space or whatever. Like it was a haven for that stuff. But it just I miss the like I miss the box boys of the world, right? And some of that stuff got ported over, but it just doesn't feel the same. Like there's a lot of weird 3DS titles that came out that only worked on a 3DS because you could play them for a couple of minutes and then close the clamshell, throw it in your bag, and move on. Like weird stuff that came out there, we just didn't get the same on Switch. In contrast, the good stuff about the Switch. And for me, that hybrid nature is part of it, right? Like the, I had the PSP Go. I bought it after owning a Vita, but getting the PSP Go, I also grabbed the like, it's not a dock. I guess it's a dock. It's a docking station for that with component cable out. And like, it was such a cool thing to be like, have this PSP and then plug it in and connect my DualShock 3 to it and play it on a TV. And it's sick. I still have it hooked up here now to a CRT and PSP's at the ready for whenever I need to tweak it in action here and there. So the Switch doing that was that like I can't understate that enough. Like
Yeah.
it feels less special now because it's been 8 years, but that's super rad. What else for you has been great about Switch?
Yeah, just the that was going to be my lead too. Just like how flawless it is. Like it was real cool to
Yes.
just like the first couple times you do that.
Yeah.
Um what else? What else? Like I said, I think the library is I know it doesn't quite get nearly as bad as the Wii, but perusing that eShop at the end makes it made it hard. But there's a lot of good stuff because this
Yeah.
becomes like the indie darling. Um,
Yeah.
Minus Steam, but no,
Yeah, but this is
that
yeah.
library is solid. I think I play a lot of like stuff that's probably better played on other controllers or stuff like that. We'll get into that more later, but like I play some of that stuff here, just cause I can take it with me when I travel or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then I feel like I had something else and it left my mind. You have
Well, I
anything
have
else
one
you
more
want?
bad
Okay.
thing. I have another bad thing I forgot to mention, and that is the Joy-Con connectivity. Now, I know the stick drift became a real issue for people. I never really experienced that to my knowledge, but the thing I did experience was weird connectivity where I had the dock sort of like to the left of my TV and the Joy-Con, I've got all of them out by the way, just for fun, all the visual aids. But I loved this. Like my favorite controller combination of all time is still Wii Remote and Nunchuck. Not gonna beat it. And I love playing that with the cable wrapped around my neck and just like laying back like a weird goblin like this. It's a great time. It's a great way to play Metroid Primes. So simulating that with the Joy-Con as much as possible has always been the goal. The problem is like if you lean too far in one direction with these, the just connectivity fails and it doesn't pick up that signal. You drop the signal and then it's equivalent to stick drift in the way that like you're hitting a button and it's not being registered. And it got really bad with um, Ring Fit and stuff like that, where motion on the Joy-Con is so essential. And it was stuff where I'd be standing next to the dock doing whatever workout and it just wouldn't work. It'd be it would be a shame not to mention that part. The other great thing I think about the Switch is that Nintendo truly did have a first party or like title or partnership basically every month for the last 8 years. There's exceptions to that, but like 2017, as soon as they launched, it was like Zelda.
I think it's one of the
Is
best
there like
launch
a
years you'll ever see
yeah,
for a console.
but It was, but they kept going. Like 2018, every month had a game. 2019, every month had a game. Like they kept doing it, whether it was their own first party stuff or stuff like getting Diablo 3 and making that like the big tentpole thing they got behind. Um, all the way up until now. Like, you know what I mean? They're still doing it right now with Switch 1 into Switch 2 this year. There's a major release every month. So that's been really, really it's there's always something to play. And I think the Switch game vouchers are cool for that too, because it's like
Mm.
you can save $20 and pick something up. The only other thing I had noted is everyone is here. That's like I know it's more of a Smash thing than it is a Switch thing, but just the fact that they pulled that off, Sakurai was able to pull that off. Um, Speaking of transitioning over to the Switch, what do you think of the Switch like the adoption of these Nintendo Classics libraries as part of the Switch Online program versus a traditional virtual console like they'd had for, I
I think it's
guess,
a way
little on 10
better
years.
solution. Like
For you as a player, as a purchaser, what,
I
why?
think just like I don't really dabble with it, and you can probably tell I don't dabble with it because I don't have the family membership.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I don't dabble with it a lot, but I just love the ability of just like, oh, I feel like playing something, or do I? Christ, it's come through a couple times over the last few seasons where it's like, I think this game is on Switch and I'm already paying for it, so you may as well just play it here. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so like I think that's great, and like I'm already paying for the subscription anyway. I pay for it yearly, and so it's like if it's here, may as well. Um, I know probably not the entire library that was available on the Virtual Console to buy is here, but I think you
Hmm.
have all the heavy hitters that you would need plus a few
Yeah.
trinkets.
They've
You
brought a lot of
I was
those
gonna say
things
you might be able
over.
to speak more to that, but just kind of like I was actually in the Super Nintendo catalog, not right after Switch 2 launch, and like I said, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that it scrolls with the giant tiles versus small tiles or whatever. It feels like there's less of a library than what could be in a virtual console, but like it could just be the UI doing optical illusions at me.
I I should do a comparison. I'm sure there's one out there, but I kind of want to do that for myself now out of curiosity. And I think even if there's more on the old virtual console, one, you can't buy them now anyway. Two, I think there's been weirder games released on some of the Switch stuff than you would have seen on some of those older platforms. Um, just weird licensing stuff that's changed through the years or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm generally happy with it. I like that they keep adding platforms. I like that Sega's a part of it, and now on Switch 2 there's GameCube games. It's exciting. But yeah, on Switch 1 it was very nice to get that. It is cool too. Like I'm not going to say that every time they made an update I jumped in and played these things beginning to end, but it's cool to be like, "Oh, they added that game. Let me see how that plays," or "What is that game? I don't know what that is." I do still wish that they would do like put the manuals in there as
Mm.
well. Um, and like go a little bit more in detail with that stuff. But it seems like now with Switch 2, there's some changes happening. Like you can finally remap controls across the board. So, you know, I made Perfect Dark playable with a modern controller, which was cool. And you can do all that on Switch 1 as well. The remap controls. You don't need a Switch 2 for it. So, are there any Switch games released on Switch, first party, whatever, but things that you still want to play or things you need to finish from the Switch One's library?
Not that I can't play on a Switch too.
Well, but any of the like big ones where you just kind of like never
Oh,
got to it and
there's
you
a
kind
ton.
like,
There's a fucking ton.
what are they? What do you got?
Joseph,
What?
Shin Megami Tensei 5 and 3.
Sure, sure.
All the Final fucking Fantasy pixel remasters that are on there, plus probably some of the re-releases of the
Yeah,
newer games that I need to get
yeah.
to. Um, I mean, technically, is coming on Switch One, but like Zendaya is coming. The old Pokemon Z to A.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I will be checking that out upon release. I know it will have a Switch 2 version, but yeah, I mean, when this shows goes to show you how it had been a little bit since I used my Switch One, but like when I was being introduced to the virtual card library thingy majiggy, and I was
Yeah.
transferring my cards over, I saw there was quite a few things that I had started and just never completed. Not that I think I'm gonna go back and play all of them or do something different or whatever. Like I know we were talking about SMT5, like or I'm just waiting for Vengeance to go on sale and Switch 2, I think
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Um, I tried to pick up my save in SMT3. No idea where the fuck I'm at. So yeah, some of those things are probably not realistic, but I did land on Final Fantasy VI finally, and have been playing through that as like my side hustle, and I'm not probably more so my main hustle now. While my side hustle is Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think it has to be because Final Fantasy and the Magic crossover happened this week, but like the when I got everything transferred over to my Switch 2, like that was one of the first saves I saw that I'd left like uh, Final Fantasy 7, just leaving that one hanging where I did, and I opened it up, hadn't loaded it since 2019, and I was like, oh, okay. I got to that point, the remake came out, and I moved on from playing this. So I've been back in that too. When you go back to Pokemon, are you gonna use this special Joy-Con?
I completely forgot that was a thing. I do
Me
not
too,
own one of
until I
them.
was going through the Switch bin. Oh man, it's a wild one. I don't know what you can even use it for. I know Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
That's what it came with, right?
Um,
Or it
no, I had to buy
released.
it separately.
It
Yeah,
released at that
yeah, it
time.
was
Okay,
released in tandem with that. You can use it for Pokemon Go,
remember that.
and then I don't know what other games you can actually use it with. Like what other Pokemon games, if at all, any. I don't know. Sorry, got the ring stuck on my finger. For me, like I'm still in the middle of Xenoblade Chronicles X. I just hit a point with that game where I was like, it was starting to feel very samey, and there's a lot of games that are getting these like weird either incidental bumps or intentional bumps on Switch 2. So I'm kind of waiting to see like will this one get like a because it looked great on Switch 1, but I'm also like if it can look more great on Switch 2, I should see through the back half of that game that way. But in turn, Demon X Machina is one I never touched, and that one's got a sequel coming in September. I completely skipped Paper Mario: The Origami King, and that one
Mm.
seemed to be like the one that everybody really was stoked about when it came out. Those Famicom Detective Club remakes seem like fun visual novels to go through. And then I keep looking at Kirby in the Forgotten Land, but I don't know if I actually want to play it or not. I've tried the demo and it seems fine. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Um, but we did play a lot of Switch 1 games that we did complete, that we did love, and that we ranked. Um, this list will be up on the website later today if you're listening to this episode right when it goes up. But so Matt and I went through, we built our own personal list of top however many Switch games, and then using science, we filtered it down to our top 8. So I'm gonna read them off in order, and then we can talk a bit about them if you want, or whatever, and then throw out some honorable mentions as well that made our personal list, but not the top 8 list. So, or do you want to volley this back and forth?
Sure, you can kick us off.
Yeah. So first up, we had Hollow Knight. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of that game, but it's this little indie game that came out a long time ago. Um, they should
And
probably make a sequel
well,
to
the
that one.
sequel is
But
coming on a ROG Xbox coming soon.
oh, right, okay, well that's exciting. People should look forward to that on the Xbox then.
Uh,
No, this was one I played on Steam when it launched. early access maybe or something. I don't know. I played it a little bit and then it got announced for Switch and I played it there. And that was where I actually like made the most progress. Um, like a ton of progress and had a lot of fun. Again, another one where like having it on the big screen and be super pretty and then being able to pick it up and like lay in bed or go outside or go wherever and just like take on different bosses was like so much fun. And I'm super stoked for Silk Song to do the same with that one.
Uh, yeah. Then at number 7, we have Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. I believe that's the title of that game, but it's the Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm game on Switch. Uh,
Bum, 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 bum,
if
bum,
you're
bum.
not sure, but no, fitting that I announced this one. I think my weird list got it on this top 8, but this is my first Theater Rhythm game, which I think why it has such a high impact for me. Um,
Yeah.
but in going back to the 3DS one, I will say I like what the 3DS one does with like the quests and like just infinite quests. Like there's so many. But I do like how this game did like their story mode approach where they did it by game. Um,
Yeah.
and you kind of did like there's like the extra like step quest you can do to really complete the entire game all the way through. Um, as someone that like I I know some Final Fantasy. I will say that. Just like I know some South Park. I can probably hold a conversation with a South Park avid fan, but
Yeah.
the small details I'm gonna miss. It did get me to more focus, like learning the music from a specific game. Now, of course, the battle theme from 1 through 3 sound very similar when played back to back to back, but um,
There's subtle differences though you can pick up
yeah,
on.
but no, some of those more like specific moments in those games, I'm kind of started to more identify, and it's funny like now when I'm playing through 6, there's been a couple songs that I'm just hearing in the background, like remember that one? All right, this is where
I
I'm
know
at.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so no, I like that, and it kind of I forget how many weird Final Fantasy games there are. Like Final Fantasy Mobius used to exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's and they added I'm happy they put all of those in the game too.
But yeah, no, I that's why this is on the list.
Next up at number 6, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, the hit sequel to Breath of the Wild. Um, uh, talk about this one a bit.
So this was so all right. The first draft of my list, which broke the
Yeah,
math, so I had to make a decision. The first draft of my list, I had Zelda.
period.
Period. Um, and I guess I did go and emphasize Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom because I forgot the Link's Awakening remake came out. But
Oh, yeah, yeah.
no. So those are two completely different experiences for me personally. But I think my experience with Breath of the Wild lends to how much I appreciated Tears of the Kingdom when I finally got to it, and how I play that game as opposed to Breath of the Wild.
Mm,
And like I technically probably Breath of the Wild is the better game. I think it pushed games forward and a bunch of things. And Tears of the Kingdom kind of retread some ground, but you can go down and up with some other things. But no, like my experiences are completely different for these games, and I think like combined they made more sense for me than distinguishing Breath of the Wild separate from Tears of the Kingdom. However, because it broke math, I this is Tears of the Kingdom is the one at the top of my list because that is the one I spent the most time with. I did a bunch of the weird stuff. I did some of the extra content. I explored areas distinctively that I did not do in Breath of the Wild. And yeah, I actually beat that game like legitimately, not just with a stick at level 5. And yeah, I actually have the Master Sword in this save file, which is odd.
how
Um,
weird.
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of why Tears of the Kingdom is here.
I had a good time with Tears of the Kingdom. It just ultimately disappointed me as a standalone title because it felt very much like Breath of the Wild 2, which it was, right? It just, yeah, it didn't, I don't know. There was a lot of like empty space underground, and I felt like there were opportunities for more secrets that were more fulfilling. And I felt like there were a lot of shortcomings in that regard. But in terms of like story and what the game did and the like character building and the way that they reimagined sort of some of these archetypes that have been in Zelda forever, that was super, super fun. Um, the building was fun for me to an extent, um, out of necessity until it wasn't. But yeah,
But you got blueprints that
um,
made that kind of easier, though. They did put in
yeah,
some things.
yeah. That game is still sitting at number 15 on the list. And you can go hear episode 532, where we ranked it. I guess 530, 31, and 32. We did a three-parter on that back in 2023 when it came out. Um, yeah. Next up.
Oh, right. We have Monster Hunter Rise, which I'll let you talk about.
Yeah, baby's first Monster Hunter. I mean, not really, but this was the one that like finally clicked for me. Like, World kind of clicked, but I never spent enough time with World, and I really think it's because of the handheld nature of the Switch. The fact that I could, because Monster Hunter, and you've played Wilds now, so you know how much you're kind of just like doing the grind.
Right.
Let me ask you this: how much more Wilds would you be playing right now if it were on Switch 2?
Probably a bit more since it's a little dry. I'd be
Yeah,
curious to see how it runs. That would maybe
but yeah.
impact some
Hey
things.
man, they got Street Fighter 6 to run, so we'll
Yeah, but I
see.
feel like I can run Street Fighter 6 successfully and not I
Yeah, I
struggle with
know.
walls a little bit on my gaming machine.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, Rise was just a ton of fun. It finally clicked for me. I like the speed of the game a lot, the movement and the like aerial nature of the game. Um, and Sunbreak added like a Dracula Frankenstein werewolf theme to it. So how could I be mad at that? Yeah, that whole package is just solid. That was number five. Next up at number four,
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
everyone is here.
Yeah, we'll go through our personal list. I'm gonna let Joe take over, but I left this off of mine.
You didn't put it in your top eight.
Yeah, it's like an honorable mention. Uh, I think this game's incredibly fun to play. The single player is very long.
Single player is super long, and it's weird because it like once it's done, like there's not a real reason to go back to. I've thought about going back through it, but like some of the old ones, right? Like the other single players in other Smash games, you can kind of go through them and have a good time with them on their own, even after you've completed them. This one, it's sort of like, I did that. I'm done.
But not to discredit
But
this game, I just personally think the E3 moment is the coolest part
sure.
of this, and not necessarily the game at times.
I
But
think that was, but I loved the entire journey of Ultimate and throughout the Switch's life cycle. Like the directs have felt so light ever since Smash stopped having new characters because there was always that like butterfly in your stomach kind of feeling every time obviously a new direct is always exciting. My hope is that a day after this episode goes up, we have another direct happening. Um, my fear is that somewhere in between us recording it and it going up, they just shadow drop one. But um, like there was there's always something exciting about that, and you never know what you're gonna get. But having like that thrill of like which character is gonna get added to Smash, because at this point it was just like everybody's on the table. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we were getting so many weird characters by the end of it was just a wild ride all the way through. All the collaborations. I do think too, like I love the way it plays technically. It feels so good to play it that I still like
it's
fire it
very
up and
good.
play it. I haven't done it on Switch 2 yet because I saw there was a weird bug about playing online and I was like, let me just wait until it's patched and fixed and then I'll mess with it. Um so yeah. Next up, I think it's you,
I think
or is
I
it me?
said Smash.
I don't
Yeah, you're
remember.
you're up.
We got lost. Metroid Dread was number three,
I think
which,
I think this is just us finding common ground in our list. Which
yep, yep,
is once you'll see what happened while we're here.
yeah,
But I like this game a lot. I know like the dread part of it kind of fell through just a little bit, but I still think
yeah.
this is a solid playthrough of a Metroid game. I
Yeah,
know you weren't necessarily happy about the 100% completion because there was like nothing there, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, or you don't get the thing I wish you got. I guess it was
got it.
my, yeah. I think
Um,
that's why I was upset.
but no,
But it's solid, and it finally is real after 20 years. You know, like that's super sick.
yeah, I, yeah, it's just a
It
good
carries the
Metroid game.
story forward in a good way. Like yeah, it's a good, solid Metroidvania game. Some of the stuff with the what are the Emmys? There was a little like,
That's what I meant by like the dread stuff. Like that stuff was
yeah,
fine. But I always say the rest of the game was just another solid Metroid
yeah.
experience.
Number two.
Um, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Wow, you don't say. Yeah, this is. I mean, look, as much as I wish we had a cooler answer for number two than Breath of the Wild, because it's just like duh. Also, duh. Like, game was just so good right from the start. It was the like reimagining and rehash or whatever you want to call it, just of Zelda refresh of Zelda that we really needed after Skyward Sword, but also like I know everyone looks at Skyward Sword as like, okay, this is the worst that it got, but like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker both came out on Wii U. On the 3DS side, you had remakes of Ocarina and Majora's Mask, and we just had so much of that style of game. Obviously, Skyward Sword was holding your hand way more than those games did. Those games also did that, but they were also all of that formula. And you could see just in that output that there really hadn't been a new thing in Zelda for a long time. And I think Breath of the Wild was finally that. And it was new for Zelda, it was new for open world games, and it just changed everything, you know? And the way that like Apex added the ping system and made it so that every cooperative game ever sucks if they don't have one, like Breath of the Wild introduced so many ideas to the open world genre that just like blow it open. Number one, I
Uh,
forget who
no,
announced it.
whatever. Pikmin 4. Number one is Pikmin 4.
Yes, number one is Pikmin 4, which
What?
another way that math just kind of got us here, but
Um,
I'm happy it's at the top spot because
yeah,
Pikmin 4 rules.
me too. This was the one that what Miyamoto said had been done for like years, right?
Yeah, since like the Wii U or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you think like what other games are just done right now and waiting.
Yeah, really. No, I excellent game. I got my introduction to Pikmin with Pikmin 3 for the list. I don't know what episode or where it's at placement wise, but um, yeah, no, I got my introduction proper for to Pikmin 3 then, and then it made me look forward to Pikmin 4 when it came out, and I have to say it played more like casual fun. There wasn't like this doom of like having to make sure you accomplish all you want to in a day. Um,
Yeah.
but then the fun part was that mode was actually hidden. Once you
Yeah,
got far enough, there was certainly that mode if you wanted it. So
are you
like
talking about the Olimar stuff or the
yeah,
Dandori battle? Oh
Olimar
yeah,
stuff.
okay. Yeah.
The Dan
Yeah.
Dory battle was a cool. I think that was a cool like mix up to the gameplay as well.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, no. No, I was a big fan of just the kind of like the scope of that game because there's I mean it's Pikmin, but there was a lot to do in that game.
Yeah. I need to that's another one like on Switch 2 that I've reinstalled and I'm ready to keep rolling with just because load times were really bad on Switch 1 and that was the one thing that I didn't love playing that game. But like once you're in a map it just flows so well. Um Yeah, Pikmin 4 is it's good. It was like so refreshing that uh, there was a new Pikmin game that it was really good. Um, I loved the underground stuff, like all the caves you got to do, like super fun challenges. Super stoked on that one. Um, Pikmin 3, we did episode 459, and it's currently sitting at number 21 on the list. So there you have it. A solid top eight. Um, Before we transition over to Switch 2, do you want to talk about any of the other top Switch 1 games that we didn't get to cover here?
Uh, yeah, I'll shout out a few here.
Yeah,
Mario Tennis Aces, which my adventure with that game is well documented on the old school style of podcast we used to do when we talked about current events every week. That's
yeah.
a roller coaster. Well, I'm sure I should have found the episode arc, but before talking about it, but that's an episode arc, uh, weekly. But that tennis game is very good. That meter really did something special to it. That made it feel like this weird fighting game, but you're playing tennis at the same time. Um, the Pokemon mobile game, Pokemon Unite. I think there's obviously I think like Dota does some things better, right? Like I think there's a this is like MOBA light compared to League and Dota and stuff like that, but it's fun. I think the evolution system is a nice touch. I like the whole I like what you're not destroying towers, you're banking orbs, and that becomes like a gameplay thing. The only thing I it's been years since I played it at this point, but the only thing was Zapdos at the end was a very turning point in matches. And if they have nerfed that a little
Oh,
bit, I
yeah.
think this is in a very good state.
Should we play Pokemon Unite now?
I looked at that tile card and I hate it. And that's part of the reason why I haven't.
I didn't like it either. I don't like what they've done with it.
No.
Not a good time. No.
Um. I oh yeah, so I have Celeste on my list. This is one of those
Uh-huh.
games. It probably would be in my top eight, proper, but this probably isn't the best platform to play it on. With the D-pad, like this is a very like
Hmm.
it's a very like platform specific, like timing jumps, very specific button presses, and sometimes the joystick wasn't great, and the D-pad on the Joy-Con's not great.
Yeah.
But no, but Celeste is just a very good game. If you wherever you play that at, just go ahead and play it. And then yeah, the underrated gem. I ended up getting the sequel to this, but I never finished it. But a Golf Story is a fun time. It's got good humor in it. This one sticks. You would think it just sticks to golf, but there's plenty of other activities that the game makes you do along the way. Um, Goofy characters, goofy locales that act as golf courses. Um,
Yeah.
no, it's that game's a lot of fun and it's underrated. But yeah, I think that pretty much that hits the main guys.
The other ones I had on my side to call out, I think, are the DLC for Pokemon Sword was so good, like better than it should have been. Um, I had a lot of fun exploring that and raising my Cubfu to an Urshifu. Um, what's the I mean, Ring Fit Adventure still rules, still checking in with Ring Fit every now and then. Um, just a solid workout game, and it keeps you motivated, keeps you, I don't know, paying attention to what kind of smoothies you're drinking in real life. Um, Tetris 99 was a great addition to the platform. We talked a lot about the Switch Online stuff earlier, and like I think that was a great example, still is a great example of like something weird and unique that Nintendo did to like capture what was popular at the moment, like this like elimination style video gaming, but do it in a Nintendo way and make it a fun free event that I still check in with. Um, and then I don't know, man, some little ones like little, but Diablo 3. I had a fun time playing Diablo 3 on Switch, and I think like it was games like that coming to Switch that was they were just like fun to have in that handheld capacity and dockable experience. Um, I guess final shout out to Fantasy Star because the port that M2 did in the Sega Ages stuff was so good and the best way to play that first game. Your aforementioned Mario Tennis Aces saga starts with episode 253 of the podcast, Joy-Con Spread Eagle. Carries into 254, Can You Cook with Slim Jims? 255, Steak and Quake. 256, Ghost Walk. And looks like it wraps up with 257, Down to Breed. Although you pick it back up in 2018 or later that year in 275, Investigate JPEG. 296, Ferrero Rocher's Virtual Reality. And then, I mean, you keep going. You keep checking back in with it. 331, Fan Service. 366, Dead Yankees. Last time you've talked about it that we've recorded in a tag format is episode 367, Wet Hair. And this is just for timeline's sake. Yeah, let's do this. For timeline's sake, the first time you talk about this episode or this game, we just have a real close-up picture of Gabe Newell's face. And the last time you talk about it, we have a real close-up picture of Phil Spencer's face in front of a bookshelf as he secretly hid the Series S behind him. So there's that. All right, Matt. That's Switch 1. It's time for Switch 2. No. Not gonna throw that one away. There's not a ton to talk about Switch 2 wise.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We're gonna talk about, what's out, what we're doing with it, the buying experience, and kind of what we expect for moving forward. So first up, what's new on the Switch 2? Hey, all right, thank you for the visual aid. I don't have mine with me.
This.
There it is. You like
I love it.
feeling a lot more?
Yes.
Okay, I am with you. My problem with it is it's not as easy to do while docked.
Oh, that beg to differ.
Really? Because I feel like with this docked, I would just pop my finger and slide it up. And on the new one, I've got to like do it and pull it, but I feel like the bottom of it's slamming against the.
Nah, I feel like no, I feel like I'm the opposite of you. I feel like whenever I like go to slide out, the Joy kind of lifts up a little bit and doesn't stay in place. Here, like double thumbs, fingers, and then pop them out.
Interesting. All right, I gotta practice more. How about the screen? Screen's new.
Bigger.
I mean, everything on the Switch, I think they've made some revisions to the physical everything, right? Yeah, bigger display. It's not quite edge to edge, but it's pretty dang close. The Joy-Con are bigger as well. How do you feel about the new Joy-Con compared to the old?
Fine. I haven't. I'm going to disappoint the viewer here. I don't have a good review of these because I typically don't ever do this with them.
Are you throwing them right into the dog ears?
I just don't use them. I use my Pro controller.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah. I've used them a bit. My new favorite thing, having been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII, is putting that on a coffee table and then sitting with my legs under the coffee table and then Joy-Con Spread Eagle. And they're comfortable in that regard. I do feel like it's a bit big in the hand. Just the whole unit holding it handheld. You agree?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think I'm just getting used to it a little bit too. But
sure.
No, especially that first day because I had to really engage with my Switch 1, my OLED one. Because it wasn't up to date, so I couldn't do the virtual card library, and I had to go back and forth a little bit. So no, it was a stark difference between the two, especially going back and forth in that first 20 minutes or so of setup.
Yeah. Setup pretty easy, you think? otherwise?
Yeah, for
Like,
the most part, I don't like didn't love that they have remember me turned off by default when signing in, so I had to do the QR code like three too many times.
yes, it was. Yeah, now it's done and it's set, but that was really agitating.
Small minor thing,
Um,
but yeah.
yeah. Uh, it was nice though, like that I could easily bring everything over, like even the Japanese account I have on my Switch, all my screenshots, all of your precious Roy Mario Kart 8 spam screenshots are safe on
I'm
my
sad to
Switch too.
say I started as new and did not bring anything over.
I thought about doing it, but then it just seemed like it was right there, and I had to leave to go pick up pizza. I was bought pizza to celebrate the Switch too, so I was like, you know what? I'll let it do its thing. I'm gonna go pick up food, and when I get back, it should be done, and it was. So, in terms of what's old, I feel like everything else is old. Like the OS is still the same,
Same
minus a few
themes.
buttons, but same themes still there. But like even the menu, like a couple of the new things that popped up minus game chat got retroactively added to the Switch 1 anyway. So it's not like, the UX is too different. Um I Yeah, overall though, it does seem snappier, faster. For me, this feels like the Switch Pro that was heavily rumored back in 21 or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which is fine. You know what I mean? Like this to me felt like buying a new phone. I'm not this, but the Switch 2 felt like buying a new phone versus, buying a new upgrade or whatever. Like I think we talked about it in text or I don't remember where, but this is very equivalent. If anyone out there bought an Xbox Series console, the experience of going from an Xbox One to a Series X or S or whatever is very similar. It's like, oh, okay, all my stuff's here. And then you boot it up and you're like, oh, whoa, this loads way faster. Oh,
4K.
it's way prettier. Oh,
Yeah.
it's way smoother. But then you go back to the home menu and you're like, all right, it's the same experience, right? Where like you go from a PS3 to a 4 or a 4 to a 5 or whatever. And like the UI is completely different. The interaction with it is completely different. The games are
Which has its
different
pros and cons too, though.
for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, but I yeah, generally happy with where we're at. Excited to see where it goes moving forward. I want to talk about the buying experience because we both had a journey.
Sure.
Um, I'll let you take a sip and prepare. Yeah, walk us through
So yeah,
the.
so it's whatever day it is after the tariff delay. It's midnight, and then I send out a text to you saying I'm staying up. I'm gonna do the dumb thing. Um, and I was like, I might try to do the thing with what I did with the PlayStation 5, where I got a couple, and if things happen, like I have one release day no matter what happens. But if I don't, if I get both same day, because you were pretty much banking on a Nintendo invitation.
Once they said they were doing that, I was like, you know what? I genuinely had a great experience buying my PS5 directly from Sony. Same thing with Xbox Series directly from Microsoft. And I haven't bought hardware from Nintendo in this manner. I bought like a refurbished 2DS, but I was like, that seems like a clean way to do it. And yeah, seeing what they were doing in terms of like that rollout for purchasing, it seemed like okay, that I'm gonna go for that. So yeah, I was locked into that. Very grateful that you at least went into your experience like if I get it, it's you know what I mean. You,
Yeah.
you were covering me, so that was yes.
So yeah, this is. I'll get to the irony in all this later. So 12 o'clock hits. I have for you can kind of see. I'm not gonna move my camera; it's gonna mess up my OBS formatting. But like keyed viewers will see like a corner of a monitor right there, and that is the edge of my second monitor on my gaming PC that is directly to my left, which has two monitors. And then my setup has a widescreen and then a vertical monitor right here. So I was using all of them and my iPad. across all the websites. I had time.is up on my gaming PC, so that way I could see the moment it struck midnight. And then I had my phone. No, sorry, that's why I was using my other monitor to monitor Twitter, specifically the Wario64 account, because I had a feeling I was going to get updates in the moment on that one. And so 12 o'clock hits. Target goes up. Got it. I think I got my confirmation email by 12:04. Perfect. So I'm like, all right, well, like that's great and all, but I kind of want to, backups or whatever. So no one's going live. Around like 12:10, I get in line in Walmart. Just says I'm in line. I'm like, all right, well, who knows how long this is going to be and what that experience looks like. And then Wario starts tweeting out like, Walmart line is up, Target's live, Best Buy not live yet. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not like an idiot clicking refresh. I think around, I forget all the timing on all this now, but I think around like 12:30 is when like Wario's like, yo, Best Buy's up. And then I'm doing the whole clicking refreshing thing. I think around like 12:40, I finally lock in Best Buy Switch, and this one's for pickup at the old stomping grounds for the Switch One. So
Coming home.
got that one locked in. Seems like a day one release. And then right as that, I was like going to be done. And then right as that purchase experience like ended, I got the email confirmation. Walmart's queue said, "You're up. Buy a Switch." So I was like, fuck it, why not? So then I got myself a third Switch that day that was being shipped to me, which was great. It was weird. Target said it was coming June 6th instead of June 5th, which I thought was weird. But then, yeah, Best Buy seemed to confirm my same-day pickup, and then Walmart said it was shipping to me June 5th. So I had 3 Switches. Zang's a damn. I knew worst comes to worst, Joe has a backup. I can always cancel them, or I will be the anti-scalper and find good homes for them, which I ultimately did. And then just so happens my cousin wanted a second Switch, and I was like, don't have a second one for you. This is like days later. This is like, you already got your Nintendo Switch. So like I had a coworker that took one of my original 3. My cousin took the other one of the 3 after you said you landed yours. And then that's when she was like, you would happen to have a second one, like the next day or maybe later that night or something. And I was like, no, sorry. I'll keep an eye out, though. Nintendo invitation comes in my email, literally. I think it had already been there, but I checked my email for the first time that day, like an hour later, and there's a Nintendo invitation. So I'll call her. I was like, you want me to get it? She was like, wait, hold on. She checks her email. Not there. I'm like, all right. So I landed myself 4 Switches. Yeah, and the funny part of all this is, I think the punchline, as of recording, I don't have the Target one, which was the one
It's just insane.
I ordered first at 12:04 a.m. that day. Every other one, including a Nintendo one that I got like a week and a half after pre-order started, all arrived. Nintendo and Walmart's arrived at my door. Walmart's was great. I was also one of those people. I don't know if anyone is paying attention, but like they got the Pringles and the bottle of Coke in the reusable bag. So that was great.
So everybody got a bottle of Coke, but regular Coke. But it seems like the Pringles were different.
For everybody. Yes, they were different flavors. I got lucky and got a very good.
You get a good one.
Very good. Like, might reconsider buying Pringles again. Kind of that good. Those hot ones, Los Calientes, are no joke. Very good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But yeah, all 3 arrived. The Walmart one was like 8:15 a.m. like before I even went to work, because it was like a courier from the store, pretty much. Yeah, it was great. I went during lunch to Best Buy, got it, and then by the time before going back to work, I dropped off the Switch, and then the Nintendo one was on my porch, and I got them all in the house.
So clean. All of that happened, I believe, in the US on May 8th, Thursday, May 8th. And that was the same day no, I'm sorry. All of your stuff would have been the week before, right? Or like 425 for the regular old.
It had to have been because May 8th is my wife's birthday. I don't remember me pre-ordering.
No, May 8th was the Switch invitation day. So I
Okay.
remember that was the thing where like that's when they were all supposed to come out. You'd already had your three locked in. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait and see. And then nothing came on May 8th. And I was like, all right, I guess this is gonna be harder to get than I thought. Like, and I sort of resigned to like, you know what, I'll get it when I get it. And I was even at that point like ready to tell you like just if people have already like kind of laid soft claims on them, like go for it. Mine'll it'll happen when it happens. And then a day later, I get an email from Nintendo that was like, "Hey, buddy, your turn. You got 72 hours to go." And I jumped in right away. It was so easy. I was able to also grab the like any accessories you wanted from there. You could do like one of the accessory types per order or whatever. You were locked in. Like initially, you set your interest for which console you wanted when you sign up for, and I guess this still stands. If you're still trying to get a Switch 2 and you want to buy it through Nintendo, you can like express your interest in whether or not you want the Mario Kart bundle or the standard, and then they kind of have that SKU ready for you, and then you can add in accessories and other games and stuff. Um, the terrifying thing for me is that we got the shipping stuff like so I'm an idiot and didn't pay for express shipping. Like I was like, I'd already spent that much money, and I was like, I don't want to spend $15 on shipping, and I should have. Well, I guess I shouldn't have. It didn't matter in the end. But like once I got the shipping notification, I'm like, when's it coming? Like it because it really didn't move, and it was like not until like the middle of the night, the morning of the launch day, that it actually like updated. Because otherwise, it just said like label created on May 24th or something. Like it had not changed at all. And then the morning of, it was like, oh, it went to Indianapolis, it went here, it did this, and then it showed up like I don't know, 10 or 11 in the morning that day or something.
Yeah, I was
It's
real
yeah.
scared for you because your stuff you had gotten it like a week before, and I had a feeling you were pretty good because you got that GameCube controller, and that was not available for me by the time I
Oh wow, okay.
got around to it. Um, so yeah, all the shipping stuff goes, and but like mine is like tracking, I guess, accurately. I don't know what the fuck happened with yours, but like I'm seeing mine like kind of move across America from Washington, kind of
Yep.
towards Baltimore, and I'm like telling you, and then you're like, yeah, mine's not moving. I felt like my heart sank. I can't believe that I'm getting this one before you.
No.
But no, it's funny that all worked out.
I figured it was because I didn't pay for the expedited
No,
shipping.
and I didn't
Yeah,
either. I was just like,
I
oh,
know,
dude,
but
like, what the fuck?
just a weird thing. But in the end, it all worked out, and I think like it was a seamless experience. Um, it sounds like you didn't have too tough of a time grabbing one either, although a little bit stressful. But you like the high of that, of that.
I'm an idiot. No, cause yeah, like I saw like my cousin lives about an hour away, so you kind of like arrange like a lunch kind of thing to give them to her, and she's just like, "Thank you again so much." I'm like, don't thank me. I'm just a fucking idiot. Like I'm doing this because it's an event, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun. Well, and I do like that in the end you got them in not scalpers. So that
that
was
was
uh,
my kind of like my knight in shining armor purpose. All three of the ones that
exactly,
yeah all went to homes for MSRP.
yeah, the important part. Um, we have our 50% podcast coming up in a couple weeks where we'll kind of check in with halfway through the year. So I think we'll save any significant Mario Kart talk until then. We've already kind of shared a bit of what we've been playing outside of Mario Kart on the thing. Any other things game wise you want to call out right now before we look ahead a year?
Not really. I mean, honestly, there's not much on my Switch. I have the couple, like the Nintendo, like classic console things, um, Final Fantasy VI, Mario Kart, and Picross. I bought
Yeah.
Picross. It was like $1 off for the Sega one. So
Did you
so,
put Theater Rhythm back on there too?
oh, I do have, yes, I have Theater Rhythm, and I
Okay,
only play
good.
like one or two
That,
songs though. I didn't like play too
but it
much.
loads so fast
It
now.
does load
So
fast.
it's very nice. I did end up doing the racing quadfecta. Uh, obviously we have Mario Kart World. With the GameCube classics, I have F-Zero GX, which fun fact about the GameCube stuff for those wondering or whatever. Um, F-Zero GX is one game that supported 16:9 widescreen on the GameCube if you had the right, TV back then to do it. Supports it on this too. So you can just turn on widescreen and then you know how on all the Switch classic stuff you have those banners on the side? Gone, dude. You don't see your little face icon. You don't see those little like dither
Awesome.
effects. It's just the widescreen game, and it looks really, really good. I picked up Ridge Racer, the arcade port that Hamster put out, and then Fast Fusion, the new Wipeout clone, F-Zero clone from is it Sheeran? The
Um,
team that did Fast RMX and Fast Racing Neo. They've done some other stuff like the Tourist on Switch. But yeah, that one's so pretty, so much fun, and really, really, really good soundtrack. Um, and that one was like $15. You can also like take advantage of all the like crazy 4K modes, and it's cool. It's a fun game. Um, it's a racing machine. I'm looking forward to more than just racing games. The big ones we know right now, I guess, are Donkey Kong's next month, Pokemon's later on in October, Metroid Prime 4 is still due out this year, and then no release date on it, but we know that there's now a Splatoon single player experience coming to Switch 2. I didn't miss anything, right?
I think those are the big ones. I can't personally remember anything.
The only other stuff I know of is like the stuff that's coming next year, but it's Switch 1, like Rhythm Heaven and whatever else. So for Switch 2, first party for now, I think that's it. So why don't we look ahead a full year? I've got some video game questions for you, Matt.
Okay.
Um, these aren't predictions necessarily, but these are like, hey, this might happen. Um, I guess first up is, will there be a Fire Emblem mainline game released for Nintendo Switch 2 in year one?
Oh, I could see that happening. It's been quite a while since Three Houses.
So they did do that other one, Engage, with the main character had the split like red blue hair, but I feel like that one got way quiet. I feel like everybody went in on Three Hopes and then or Three Houses and then Engage kind of like came and went. I also think it was like the tail end of us having every Smash character be a Fire Emblem character, so everybody was a little like over Fire Emblem, but even still, it's been a while since that one. That was like 22 or like January 23, something like that. But yeah, I think I agree. I think we get one. I think if it doesn't release, it's at least announced before the Switch 2 turns a year old. Um, which Switch 1 game needs a mouse update? Mouse control update, I should say.
Oh,
I know.
I would say Pikmin would be pretty awesome.
Dude. All right. I didn't know. I didn't even think about that. I was going a different direction. That's great. Yeah. Pikmin. Make it happen. Pikmin 4 mouse control. Because I almost bought that Kunutsugami Path of the Goddess Capcom game just for the mouse control stuff. But I didn't pull the trigger yet. Dang. Yeah, Pikmin 4. Um, my answer is Super Mario Maker 2.
Mm-hmm.
Give that an update with mouse controls and make that game did not get the life it deserved. I feel like with mouse controls, you don't need to make a Mario Maker 3, just it's there. Um I guess in addition to just mouse control additions or whatever, what other games do you want to see updated for Switch 2 and what kind of features are you looking for?
I would like to see Splatoon 3 in some
That's
regard.
out.
Oh, it's out. Okay, all right, never mind. That's how much I was kind of paying attention.
No, well, they snuck that in with that new single player game.
Right, you
So it's
did tell
out.
me that.
Actually,
You did tell me that. Yes.
no, yeah.
Okay.
I need to re-download it actually, and we need to play that. Here's the fun fact. I played it pre that patch, and it already felt like a little bit faster, a little bit smoother, and I was very happy with the GL or GR button mapping
Yes.
stuff. So that was cool. I'm excited to see like resolution boosts and some new content for that.
Um, trying to think of the good old first party stuff. Um, it'd be cool they retouched up trilogy right before four comes out for Metroid Prime.
Yeah. At the
Um,
very least, just give like Prime mouse controls that remaster they did.
um, yeah, I would like to see something for. You see, I don't know what Vengeance did. SMT5 Vengeance. I don't know if that had any
Yeah.
improvements on the first Switch, but I'm sure there is area of opportunity there on Switch 2 they could
Yeah,
implement.
give it a bump.
Um, but yeah, I can't really think of too much.
I know for me that Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, if that could get more definitive, that would
Mm-hmm.
be nice. Um, I have reinstalled Luigi's Mansion 3, but not played it yet. But I do want to see if that one, benefits at all from this kind of stuff. Same thing like Endless Ocean. We're about to play the Wii game next month for the list, but they put one out last year on Switch and it is really rough. So, like, it's an online focused thing, and I feel like it runs really poorly. So if they could fix that, make it a little bit smoother. I also feel like that mouse controls swimming kind of makes sense in a way. Um, there's other ones where I look at it and I'm like, yeah, they should update that, but then it's like, I'd rather do a sequel, like a Mario Golf or something like that. Like I think let's move to the next one of those, and see what new comes about. Um, Yeah, I don't know. There's two games I kept wanting to go back to and buy, but I just kind of never did. Because I'm not there yet with Dragon Quest, but I want to be there with Dragon Quest, you know? I played a little bit of Builders 1 on PS4, and I'd love that on Switch, but from what I've read and seen in tests of 2 especially on Switch 1, it's not a good time and it's not much better of a good time on Switch 2, so I don't know that I'm eager to jump into those. Um, yeah. But a lot of the games I kind of would want to get bumps seemingly got some or have them announced. So, um, okay, this is the big one. Will there be the Zelda announcement in the next year?
I don't think so.
I do. And only because next year is the 40th anniversary of Zelda and Metroid. I feel like they at least announce it in the next year. I don't know that it comes out.
The daunting task.
I feel like it could, but I feel like they've been working on it for longer than we think.
I mean,
Because
it
Tears of
could
the
be.
Kingdom, they did spend a lot of time on that and polishing that. But I think, yeah, I think the groundwork was already hopefully there. So we'll see. Speaking of 40th anniversaries, will there be a 40th anniversary Mario game?
I would think so. I don't know when they announced that though, because they got to let Donkey Kong breathe.
Yeah. I think we talked about it off air. I feel like my gut says announce it September, launch it as like an October or a November release. Not that you want to like,
I almost think
I
you
don't know,
let Donkey Kong breathe through holiday and
holiday
announce it, announce Mario in January as like the next holiday
and
game almost.
or put it out for Mar 10, their stupid fake Mario holiday they put out every year. Yep. Yep. Um, this is a little bit different of a question. So there was an article I read a couple weeks back. This was published on Friday, May 16th over on nintendolife.com, sourcing a prediction made by an analyst firm called DFC Intelligence. DFC wrote, when the original Switch launched in March 2017, Nintendo initially projected 10 million units for the fiscal year, but ultimately sold 15 million units in that period. Based on that track record, the fact that Nintendo is forecasting a 15 million unit number gives us confidence that they will be able to ramp up supply and navigate tariff challenges. Um, a lot of analysts, separate from DFC, are predicting that the Switch 2 ends up hitting at least 20 million before its first fiscal closes. But definitely hitting that 15. But they've been sitting on these things. I've just heard anecdotally on different podcasts and things. I haven't actually been to one of these stores since the Switch launched, but I've heard that people are having an okay enough time wandering into a store and buying one. I've heard that I've seen like the Wario's of the world posting like, "Hey, these things are live. Go, you can buy now. It's available." It seems like they're in a better spot with supply because they've just been sort of banking these for a little bit. Um, DFC continues and says they expect the Switch 2 to be the leading console by 2029 with 100 million sales. As such, they're predicting, quote, the next few years could see Nintendo for the first time becoming the primary partner for third-party game publishers. I guess this isn't really a year one question because we won't know it, but do you think Switch 2 could become the main platform for publishing partners?
It could be. And here, and I think you have, I think Nintendo's on the rise, and I think they have a good console here. I think the other thing you're seeing, and this is just the way the state of gaming is, that other collision course that's going to make this happen is the fact that game development is so fucking expensive. And
Yeah.
it just seems like every month we hear of one major studio hitting layoffs or whatever. I think there's going to be a sweet spot of development right where like the Switch 2 power is
Yeah.
that doesn't cost a fortune that like if we're
The
talking about
comparative fortune.
if we're talking like 4 years from now like a PlayStation 6 or whatever the fuck a new Xbox is called um
Yeah.
that I could see that being a very real thing. Also the hybrid
So
nature of stuff yeah.
I agree. I want to come back to the hybrid piece and the just what the Switch 2 is. But you mentioned PS6 and whatever the next Xbox is. Are you eager to buy one or both of those?
Not
Like, what do they put in a PS6 in 2027 that makes you say, "Oh, I gotta get one of them"? Because I've
I don't
been
even
really
know.
struggling to figure that answer out for the last few years or the last few months. Like, I feel like I haven't played the PS5 enough yet, you know?
I mean there's stuff I like I will play on it, but like you said, I don't know. I don't know.
I,
And
I
also
don't
at
need
this
to.
rate, like, just my life, like, I'm. This is the last probably good year of this good boy over here that I got in 2020. I'm like trying to squeeze the last bit of
Yeah,
life, and I think in 2026 I'm gonna seriously consider like a build from the motherboard, maybe accept the graphics card. Like I think in my case should be fine. My cooling is probably fine. I might have to investigate that a little bit more. But like I'm gonna need a new motherboard because I'm on like AN is it AN4 whatever the 3000 and 5000 series AMD chips is stuck on. I'm stuck on that motherboard. For me to upgrade, I need a whole new motherboard, and then with a new motherboard, I need new RAM, and then that a whole host of fun things.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I like I'm probably looking at that as like my 2026 upgrade, and then 2028 rolls around and a PlayStation 6 comes out for like $650 or whatever. Like price point is gonna be a big deal for me, I think, on that one because
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna be at the point where like processor, like the rest of my computer is in a good spot, but my graphics card, my 3080, might be dated at that point. That
for sure.
650 sounds like a pretty good whatever fucking series of AMD cards or Nvidia cards we're on at that point.
And I think for me too, the weird thing with these new potential new consoles is like I well, one, I don't feel like we've gotten the most out of these as it is, right? But two, the thing that we see Xbox doing now is really interesting halfway through this life cycle where Xbox is now everywhere, right? Put the games on everything, make them run on whatever, like make them run in the browser, make them do whatever. And I think to your point around kind of finding that middle point somewhere, I think Xbox is trying to get ahead of that. And I think when you do that, it's not that we see the elimination of consoles, but I think that we get to a point where this like iterative upgrade, like sure things can always be better, sharper, faster, or whatever, but it's just to me diminishing returns.
You know what the crazy thing is, though? You talk about that, but in this, if you're to ask me, like prediction wise, like if I were to buy a console between a next gen console, PlayStation 6, whatever new Xbox is called,
Yeah,
I'm probably buying an Xbox because right now
really
I'm back invested in Game Pass. Call like it's so
interesting.
stupid, but Call of Duty has me back in that ecosystem so hard, and like
But the math of it makes sense for you, right? Like, and
but like
that's
there's
yeah,
times like I'm not turning on my Series X often. I'm really not. But when I do and I see like how much the Game Pass library has changed
yeah,
and like all the stuff that was added to console that I'm not seeing on my PC, it's like, oh shit, there's stuff
sure,
here. And like that leads me to a dumb weekend of like EA Sports PGA Tour or whatever the hell that like might come around the corner for the podcast or whatever. Like there's all
yeah, yeah.
kinds of possibilities that like the console will offer me, that console library will offer me that the computer won't. And like I said, this is like a gun to my head if I had to choose one. Like right now it's probably like on both, but I'm trending more towards a new Xbox because the ecosystem's attractive for what I'm doing.
I agree. Yeah, I don't disagree at all. And I think like the fact you've got the PC, like Sony's been bringing most of its stuff to PC anyway. We just saw, I mean, not all, but a lot of the games announced at that state of play are coming to PC also. Like
But like, I mean, we'll talk about it in 2 weeks. But like, Expedition 33 probably would end up being my game of the year. I got to play that for
yeah,
free because I have my Xbox Series X because that game was not Game Pass on PC. It was Game Pass console only.
interesting. Right. Yeah. So no additional. Yeah. And you were really locked into Game Pass, not for that, but for Call of Duty, and then I think keeping it kind of keeping
Kept it
that
around
monthly subscription going because
at the
of
Doom.
Doom coming up, and yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Well, Switch 2, back to that one. Like I know kind of coming into Switch 2, I was really excited in the lead up, following my order and like looking forward to it. And I'm like, I'm gonna make Switch 2 my primary console because to that point, like I've felt like both of the other ones I haven't really gotten the most out of. And I love the portability of this thing. And it's a thing where it's been harder to do on the Switch 1 in the last few years. But anytime there's a game that's come out on multiple platforms, like I've always been like, ugh, do I want to get this on like because I've been kind of predominantly on Xbox. Just I like that controller, I like whatever, but like there's been times where I'm like, I'd rather have it on Switch because of the portability. Where like in more recent years I've been saying I'd rather have it here because of the portability, but I can't trade off the load times, all the stuff that you get with that. But Switch 2, like we kind of don't have that. So I'm still leaning that way. We'll see what happens with Tony Hawk in a month.
So
Cause
I think like let's see what 2026 does because you got I mean, maybe not for us, but like the big one, GTA, right? Like I think that's
yeah,
gonna shake some things up. But then like, where does Resident Evil 9 land in a world where that game now exists? And obviously that's going to
mhm.
be a day one buy, February 27th, 2026.
That sounds right. Yep.
Like, is that coming to Switch? Is that just the next gen?
I know.
Like, where does that land? Like that, I think that's going to be your first marker of like where things are going.
And I think too, like that's what I started thinking about in the wake of all the stuff last week, where I was like so ready to roll on Switch 2, and then it's like, hey, new Luminous, PlayStation 4 and PC. Hey, this PS4, Xbox, and PC. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't go all in on this. I got to keep having the other ones, but yeah, we'll see. Um, yeah, but it's certainly an attractive platform, and I think there is the potential for it to be a main platform. I think if anything though, we still start to see like everything is everywhere. I
Yeah.
think Sony will keep their things on PlayStation platforms as long as they can, but at some point that too won't make much sense, right? If
Yeah, we'll see. Like they haven't like come down from their PC strategy at all yet, whereas like a year or two later you finally get the release.
yeah,
But Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see what happens like with that Marvel fighting game. Like, do they hit a point where they sell as much as they're going to sell on PlayStation and PC? So they're like, and now it's coming to Switch to an Xbox. I don't know, but yeah. All right, last Switch to year one question. What three games do you want to see on the platform in the next year?
Calendar year's tough because I think Mario comes afterwards. I would like to see Mario, but I know the weirdness of it coming so close to Donkey Kong. It doesn't. You gotta let that game breathe if they want that to
Yeah.
have a fighting chance.
And you want Galaxy 3,
I
ostensibly,
want
right?
yes, yeah. I mean, I'll probably play whatever. Let's just be real. But I want
Yeah, yeah,
Galaxy.
yeah. But yeah,
Um, I I would, and I'd be an idiot not to say Splatoon. I think just because of lack of other stuff. I mean, we know Metroid Prime 4 is coming. Um, I mean, new Pikmin would be cool.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm in like this scenario where like I'm kind of in like wait and see, like because like yeah, we have all those typical Nintendo games at this point, but like that Princess Peach game probably not for me, but like what else can we do in that Mario world?
yeah. What other weird spin-off things are coming? Yeah. I think like the first thing I thought of when I did or when I'm writing this question is I want Sin and Punishment 3. I just bring 2 over, that's fine. You can port that if you need like a little bit extra money to get 3 across the finish line, but bring that over or put a third one out. I know Treasure's up to something. I just don't know what they're up to, and I'm hoping it's that. Um I want um I do want a Zelda tease, but I don't think we're gonna get a Zelda game. I don't know. It's tough. It's so soon.
What turn are we on
What?
Atlas? I forgot what came after. Are we new Persona or is it new Shin Megami Tensei?
Well, I don't know. We're in a weird spot with them because they did Metaphor. They just announced Persona 4 Revival.
Yeah, whatever the new remake is.
Yeah, but that's I'm not saying that 4 remake thing isn't going to be whatever, but it's also like they're just kind of putting it in the 5 engine and so
There you go.
it's not P6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like it's
know, I
not,
know.
but I think Persona 6 is coming. I think Shin Megami Tensei 6 is coming at some point. I could do those. I want a Mario sports game. I don't know which one, if I want tennis or golf, but I want one of those in the first year just to give us that thing with online. I think
I want a different sport.
I thought I did, but I did not love that soccer game they put out, so I don't know.
Oh, I did like the soccer game.
I know, yeah, you liked it a lot more than I did. What
Um,
other sport would you want out of Mario?
I don't know. Volleyball would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I trust him to do whatever. Any of those could be good.
I was gonna say basketball, but don't
No, you
don't
got.
need
Oh man,
that.
I forgot.
Don't need that.
It's so close.
We don't have a date yet as a
No,
recording. I'll take
you're
one of
right.
those shadow fucking release trailers into the Switch Today app or whatever the fuck it's called.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Oh,
The
Magic
other
Arena.
one,
Honorable mention.
yeah, got mouse controls. We're ready to roll. Um, and I want another follow up from the Ring Fit people or the Wii Fit or whatever
I'd
Fit.
be curious. I
Just
mean, just doing a sequel, I think would be cool. But I'd be very curious, like if they do something different in the workout kind of arena without a
what I
wheel.
really want is something physical or something tangible, like you can take away from the game, a la
I'm just
your
pulling
bullet
out all the
chain.
trinkets today.
I know this. I've just had on my belt for months now. Congratulations. Um, yeah, no, like I need something else like external to the game. Or hey, they're so keen on adding all those little things to the Nintendo Switch app now, the Zelda Notes thing. Like, do something there where I can track my progress and sync recipes I don't care. Just go all in, go weird with it. But there it is. Sin and Punishment Mario Sports and some sort of fit experience. Um, the other notes I have written down just before we close out here. Ever since locking in my pre-order, I just keep thinking about Duskbloods. And that game, when they showed that, I did not care at all. I was not impressed. I thought it looked bad. But now I'm like, no, I'm ready. Especially since seeing some of the Night Rain stuff, I'm ready to play Duskbloods, I think. Um, and then I also want a farming game with mouse controls, which I know I'm asking for it because we
There's
had so.
I was gonna say pick your fucking choice of the litter right now. I know you don't have
I
mouse
know.
controls, but
I just
that's
there's something I just want like a dumb kind of like mindless. Let me plant this stuff. Let me come back tomorrow and see where it is. Oh, okay, look at that. There it is. Let me cut it down and turn it into this. Ah,
just
nice.
fucking play near replicant.
I want it to be the core. I don't know. Maybe, like
If you're
I don't
trophy
think
hunting,
Stardew
that's the core
Valley's it for
mechanic.
me. Yeah, maybe I'll go back to Harvestella. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Final word on Switch 2 so far.
Good start. I mean, little dry, on the new software front, but like, yeah, like
Yeah,
if you have a decent library and you like you kind of mentioned from the top, like what didn't you finish that you want to come back to? I think now's like more than great of a time than ever if you own a Switch 2 to do that before
very much so.
you start really getting the onslaught of new titles coming. Because
Yeah.
I think like by summer of next year, the software side of things looks a little different.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. I think they'll ramp up. I think they've got a lot waiting to just slowly start getting out, but I think 26 is a big year for Switch 2. And there you have it. 8 years of Switch 1. You think we get another 8 out of Switch 2, or do you think we get something newer before then?
Uh, you might get something newer. I definitely think you'll get. If it's not new, you're definitely gonna get like something more substantial than just the OLED upgrade. You might legit get
Hmm.
like a Pro, like a Switch 2 Pro, like a real
Hmm.
midlife.
Interesting. I'd be intrigued by that. I do. I like. I haven't done it yet, but I still want to keep the light in rotation. I'm still trying to stick to using the Switch 2 as my handheld thing, but like the light is so comfortable that, especially with playing Final Fantasy VII, I'm like, and cloud saves are just right there and easy. Like I was already doing that a lot, where I was using the Switch One dock to play Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then I was using the light to like go to bed and whatever and play it there. I kind of want to keep that up, despite the Switch 2 still being portable. But yeah,
Yeah, full on offer the OLED to Victoria at this rate.
yeah. Now, do you notice a big difference Switch 2 and OLED green wise? Like,
Not necessarily. I think I could definitely tell the screen is higher up res. Like I'm not seeing the
mhm.
like the weird anti-aliasing that you see sometimes with 720.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Switch 2. Any GameCube hopes for that virtual console platform?
Already I we on our personal bingo card already laid out the future of Nintendo. But
That's great.
whatever this next direct is, I think you're gonna get every single Resident Evil game that ever released on the GameCube, and that includes OG 2 and 3.
I'm down. I'm very down. Um, I kind of want the original Pikmin to show up there. Um, but I also think they should go weird. And with the fact that the Switch 2 has a microphone built into the top of it, I know there's one in the Pro controller. I don't know if there's one in the GameCube controller. Um, Either way, you've got one in the console. Put Odama out. Let's get some weird Ute Saito pinball on the platform. Other than that, I don't know, man. There's stuff they can put out. They've made GameCube games before. They can.
Oh, they gotta figure out how to do Bluetooth audio.
Yeah. I was trying to look in to see like is there something you and I are missing, but Something's I don't know. I don't know what to do
We're
about that.
so
The
close yet
game
so far away.
I was so ready to be able to use game chat and not have to use third party
We
stuff,
were
but
almost
it
there.
didn't.
Then we quickly realized we're still in the Switch One era, especially Mario Kart.
Something's not right.
Well, we'll talk
Mario,
about that
yeah,
in
Mario,
2 weeks.
yeah. That'll be 2 weeks. We'll air our grievances with 2025 and talk about what we've been playing and having fun with. We'll check in with the state of the podcast halfway through. Before that, next week we're taking a look at Deus Ex for the personal computer. So come back and talk about that with us. And then Superman tickets just went on sale for everybody. And just in time for the new movie, we've got Superman for the Nintendo 64. All of that is coming up. You can also check out our summer preview catalog. It's a little short video up on the YouTube page and on the website, thefreecheese.com, that just show you what's coming up for the summer season. Everything between episodes 612 and 624 in summer. Till next week. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.